Hello, this is Joan with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing Day 3 of KaffeBox's Advent Calendar, featuring the Capucas Anaerobic. It's Anaerobic Natural Honduras from Langora Kaffe. And there's the container right there. Alright, and Langora Kaffe is based out of Stjørdal, Norway. I hope I said that correctly. And this is my first ever cup of any coffee from any Norwegian coffee roaster. But what I found when I googled Langora Kaffe was a terrific article from 2015 done by Stjørdal, one of my favorite coffee sites. And they have an interview with the owners of Langora Kaffe, and I wanted to read something from it real quick. The first paragraph, it says, Christian Helgesen, who's half of the business, used to live down the road from Tim Wendelbo and Supreme Roast Works in part of Oslo. So he grew his love for coffee and then moved back to Stjørdal to open up the roastery, which is about 500 kilometers north of Oslo. Apparently it's a really small town in Norway. Obviously never heard of it. Hadn't actually even heard of this coffee roaster until it was featured in my Advent calendar, so it was a great opportunity to try coffee I'd never heard of. And you should check out the article from Stjørdal if you're curious about this roaster. And I would be. It's a great article, and this has been actually my favorite coffee of the Advent calendar so far. Let's talk about the coffee. So obviously I didn't know what I was getting going into it, and when I found out that it was an anaerobic Central American coffee, it made a lot of sense. It tasted very similar to a lot of the anaerobic and natural coffees I had this year from Onyx, and I think that's going to be my best comparison at the end, is striking similarities and some really good components to this coffee. The things I was getting the most of were, at the beginning, some nice tropical fruits, definitely some mango, some starfruit. I actually think starfruit was probably the thing I was getting the most at the beginning. A tiny bit of wheat, so it had that tiny bit of cereal taste that I note quite a bit. And then there was definitely a vanilla finish, and I was getting quite a bit of vanilla throughout this coffee. And I would say that was probably the best characteristic of this coffee. And what also was really good about this coffee was it didn't have that overly fermented flavor that I think I get a lot from a lot of these anaerobic coffees that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's really made it hard for me to enjoy a lot of anaerobics recently. But by reducing that flavor, I think they did an amazing job of roasting this coffee overall. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel right now so you can see what I was getting. And the things that will jump out, of course, the sweetness and the finish. Terrific finish, pretty high sweetness. And then the stone fruit for the mango and a lot of those tropical fruits. I probably could have put the citrus a little higher, but I think the chart looks pretty good. Other things to note, the florals were really nice, and it was pretty clean for being an anaerobic natural coffee, so I gotta give credits to that, and had a pretty nice body too, but not a whole lot of savoriness, bitterness, or saltiness, spiciness to it at all. I think what I can say, given that this is my first time ever trying any Norwegian coffee roaster, is that I'm understanding what a lot of people talk about when they discuss these Scandinavian coffee roasters. This coffee right here does a terrific job of not underdeveloping their coffee. This balance profile seems to be great. It seems to be even better than what I've experienced with a lot of the top tier roasters, what I consider the top tier roasters in the United States. You have terrific flavor without any of the negatives. Like, I honestly can't pick out a negative from this coffee. Overall, there was just so many great things about it that I don't really, if I tried really hard, I can't pick something I didn't enjoy about this coffee. So who would I suggest this coffee to? A lot of people, actually. I would buy a bag of this coffee, and I'm curious, I'm sure I'll get a second coffee from this coffee roaster at some point, and then I'll be able to make a judgment as a whole. But overall, I think the people I would definitely suggest this to is anybody that did love their Central Americans from Onyx, anybody that did love a lot of those anaerobic and natural Central Americans that came out this year, because this is probably a better version of a lot of them that I've had. Definitely liked it even more than the Corvus Las Lajas, which I was raving about quite a bit. So I think just overall, they did a terrific job. But I think I will leave it at that. If you've tried Langora Kaffe before, please let me know what you thought of them. Some good coffees from them. If you're enjoying the content, give this a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Capucas anaerobic natural processed Honduras from Langora Kaffe. Thank you for watching.